today with Brother Jim McComas. He is the director of the FWB Family Ministries, and he's been a friend of mine for several years now. I think I first met Jim at the Ohio Men's Retreat many years ago when I was pastoring in Ohio, and he's been with us in Erie on a couple of different occasions, ministering to us in one way or another, and we were really glad to have him on the Zoomcast today. And Jim, for those of people that may be watching that aren't familiar with you or don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
All right. It's good to be here. Appreciate the invitation. We were able to work it out. I am Jim McComas. I was born and raised in Northeast Ohio, just not too terribly far from Erie, and got called to preach when I was in third grade, when I was 9 years old. Preached my first sermon shortly thereafter. And then all of my ministry for the great number of years there was in Northeast Ohio. Pastored the same church for 21 years there in Creston. And then about 7 years ago, came to work for North American Ministries in Nashville, in the Free Will Baptist offices there in Nashville. And we lived and worked there almost 5 years as the director of church revitalization for North American Ministries. And then just about now 2 years ago, became the executive director of Free Will Baptist Family Ministries, which is based out of East Tennessee. So we have moved. We live in Johnson City, Tennessee, all the way almost to North Carolina and Virginia, way over in the corner of the state. And so that's basically most of the ministry in Ohio. Moved to Tennessee 7 years ago. And with North American Ministries, traveled the denomination, traveled across the country, a lot of speaking, and still do a lot of speaking and representing what we do here.
And also involved in that ministry, you mentioned that you pastored a church there. You also were involved in music ministry and still are. Matter of fact, you just released a new CD. Can you tell us a little bit about your music background and how people can get that if they're
sang with the quartet there in the sang with my family originally growing up, my mom and my sister, and then sang the quartet there in the church for 25 years, and then have sung. I do sing a lot in my travels now, and have released 4 solo CDs, of which the latest one just did officially release yesterday. So, and that's available. The music's available online, all the streaming services, and I think it's jimmccomasmusic.com. You can order it, or when I'm in service, I carry it with me. So jack of all trades, master of none. That's what I call myself. But yeah, the music has been an important part. And of course, I write songs too, and I've had different songs recorded by different people. So it's kind of neat. I don't consider myself a singer, but it's become a pretty important part of what I do in my ministry.
So your wife, Beth, you guys have been married how long? Do I need to ask her?
28 years. 28 and a half years.
28 and a half years. So
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you guys met and the kids that came along after you guys got married.
Okay. We met in church, and that's been 30 years ago. And of course, raised our family there in Northeast Ohio. Had 2 boys. Matthew is the oldest, and then Aaron was our second born. So 2 boys we raised there in Northeast Ohio, in the church there in Creston.
So wife and two kids. Many people are already aware of Matthew's passing a few years ago, and your heart and desire is to honor his life by ministering to others that went through some similar struggles or are going through similar struggles as he did. I
Yeah,
know
Matthew, our oldest son, battled an addiction problem for about 6 years. It gradually progressed as as addictions often do. Ended up being a heroin addiction. And 3.5 years ago, February 2017, after being clean almost a year, he relapsed, overdosed, and we lost him in February. So it's been a little over 3.5 years ago. And that has kind of revolutionized my ministry. And it's really the main reason why I'm now at Family Ministries. Matthew's desire, and in fact, the last conference we had, I was the last person to talk to him the night before he passed. His desire was to get to a point. He was working to get to a point where he could help others, and so I thought that we would always thought that we would do that, and we would do it together. Still do it together, but I do it to honor his memory. We just made the decision. While he was struggling, I would never use my kids as some kind of a cheap sermon illustration. I respected his privacy and what he was trying to do. But after he passed, we just made the decision. We could crawl in a hole somewhere. We could hide. A lot of people, addiction brings with it shame or embarrassment, especially when you got somebody in, a position of ministry. But we just made the decision we were going to be an open book. We were going to do something to honor him. We were going to break the silence. And so it started with the funeral. I preached his funeral, and that's been viewed tens of thousands of times. It's actually required mandatory viewing in a lot of drug and alcohol treatments programs in Ohio. And then I began to share in the revivals I was doing. Preachers began asking me. It wasn't something that I sought out to do, but it's just kind of changed the course of ministry. We call it break the chains. That's not necessarily just talking about breaking the chains of addiction. It's also about breaking the chains of ignorance in the church, and silence in the church, and judgmental attitudes in the church about things people don't understand, trying to educate people, breaking the chains of any kind of, the place that people, when they are hurting, ought to be able to go and get help is the church. But sadly, it is oftentimes the place that nobody wants to share. Nobody is honest. Everybody, a lot of people, I won't say everybody, a lot of pretending goes on at church because we feel like we've got to put on some kind of facade that we've got it all together, when the reality is nobody has it all together. We are all broken in some place in our life. And so when I began to share, it was absolutely, it was like pulling the curtain back. I have story after story after story. Night after night, an hour after service, people lined up to tell me their stories. And so it really just kind of changed the course of my ministry. And so it was just a natural progression when the board at Family Ministries called me and asked if I would consider submitting a resume and doing an interview, because Family Ministries takes care of the broken and the vulnerable. We take care of about 125 kids in 4 residential facilities and a full foster care program. We take care of the elderly. We minister and try to save the unborn. We have a crisis pregnancy center. We're getting ready to open a maternity home for unwed mothers. So we deal with people who are broken. And the vast majority of the kids that we take care of are in our care because somebody in their life that's supposed to take care of them is unable to drugs and alcohol. So it's just I deal with it now every day. And today, here, after we get done with this interview, I will have the boys here on our campus in East Tennessee. We have a meal, we have a Bible study. And I tell those boys, you are the reason I'm here. And I tell them the story of Matthew and our family. And I tell them I'm here because I want to tell you, there is hope, there is help. And, I didn't need a job. I wasn't looking for a job. I had a good job. I had a job. I think David Crow, you could call him, maybe. I think I was pretty decent at it. I'm here for one reason, and that is because I think that what we do is really closest to the heart of God, and that is to take care of and minister to the broken and vulnerable. So that's kind of the whole story. I don't know if that was more than you wanted or not, but I got on a roll there.
No, I'm glad, because that was definitely the direction I was heading. Kind of the connection between your heart to minister to our churches and help our churches understand the importance of the fact that all of us are broken, and we may have a different label or a different title for the brokenness, but it's brokenness nonetheless. And only Christ, can mend that brokenness and restore us, and helping churches understand that, but also trying to reach these kids when they're young, before they've, experienced a lot of the things firsthand that they've probably seen generationally in their families, and to be able to minister to them. And I know people can go online and Facebook and different places to look at what's happening, but you just had a baptism not too awfully long ago, if I'm not mistaken, with some of the boys in the home. Is that right?
Over the last couple months here, I think we've baptized about 8 in the last couple months, boys that have come through the Bible study that we do here. And so there's across our ministry, there's on average throughout the year usually about 2 souls that come to Christ about every week. We see over 100 folks come to Christ, and that's not just kids.
Right.
We see people come to the Lord in our assisted living centers, and there's all kinds of neat stories of what God is doing. So it's very exciting. And
for someone that's not familiar with family ministries, you mentioned the foster care, you mentioned the assisted living. Talk a little bit about the crisis pregnancy ministry.
Well, I'll give you just a quick overview. Family Ministries has been in existence for 81 years. It started on the campus where I'm sitting here, just outside of Greenville, Tennessee, in a little place called Camp Creek. And it started as an orphanage here. Trula Gunther was the first young person that we ministered to here. She would go on to Bible college in Nashville and meet her husband, and Trula Kronk was what most people know her by. She became a missionary to India, came back here, and lived here just off the campus here in the last years of her life. So, but over the years, we have expanded. We of course, we have the residential facility here where we take care of young men. We have 3 residential facilities for children in Arkansas. Then we have a full foster care program here in Tennessee. We are operated by the Free Will Baptist State Association in Tennessee. Then we have 3 assisted living centers, 2 here in East Tennessee and 1 in Wise, Virginia. So we have a board member that is from Virginia. We have a board member from Arkansas. So our ministry spans across 3 states. And then we do have a 200-acre camp, the Oaks, which is just right up the road here. And then we have the Hope Center and a satellite office in Irwin, so that the Door of Hope. So that's Crisis Pregnancy Center. And then the building next door to the Hope Center is right now being renovated and added on to, and construction is deep underway to build a maternity home. There will be several apartments there where, if the idea is we save the baby, make that girl that's making this tough decision to keep the baby, maybe has no place to go, we have an opportunity where she can stay with us. We can give her parenting classes, of course, obviously spiritual instruction, and she can live right next door. It's going to be called Honeysuckle Studios is the name of that. So we're in the last phases of that. So a lot of different things. Really, the best kept secret, I say, in the Free Will Baptist denomination, it is the largest entity in the Free Will denomination. We employ about 250 people, have a budget of about $17 million. So it's a major operation. A lot of different exciting things going on.
So as far as the residential, are they all for foster children, the residential?
No, foster children live with foster families, and they train through us, and then they live with those foster families. That's separate from our residential program where we take care. So between the two, the breakdown would be we have about 50 to 60 kids normally in foster homes. Okay. Fostering through Family Ministries, and then we take care of about, between the 4 residential facilities, about 60 kids on average, 60 to 65 in the 4 facilities that they live with us.
I see.
They stay here. They most of the time they are evaluated. They're here for a time evaluation to see whether they can go to foster, whether they need to be in some kind of a lockdown facility. What their needs are.
I see.
So we have them sometimes not for very long, but and that's my goal and my prayer, that we impact them for Christ in the time that we have positively, and we see that time and time again. So
one of the criticisms that people give to those of us who would consider ourselves pro-life is they will often say that we're simply pro-birth. Right. We want the baby born, but then after that, who cares? I think Free Will Baptist Family Ministries is a perfect example of a ministry that defies that criticism, because we are trying to help the mothers, children, elderly. I'm sure I'm missing something, but we care for people. You guys care for people of all ages, all walks of life.
You're exactly right. Years ago, when I was pastor in Ohio, when I got involved in our crisis pregnancy center there, I mean, we can rant and rave all day about abortion being murder, but for that young woman that is having to make difficult decisions, for us just to say you should have the baby and not do anything, that I just felt that would make me a hypocrite. So that's why I got involved passionately. I was on the board of our pregnancy center there in Ohio. And that's why it's just such a wonderful part. And I'll give you an example of that. There was a woman that came in. There was somebody waiting on her in the car. She came in. She wanted information about abortion. She said, I cannot have this baby. There is no way I can financially. She said, I can't afford I can't afford to feed the family I have. And she was rushed and she couldn't stay, but she promised to come back. But what happened in the meantime? What did we do? Sharon, our director there, she got on the phone with some of her church people. And by that evening, that lady, she had her address, and they loaded a van full with groceries and met the need that she said she had. I mean, that to me is, before you can counsel somebody or show them pictures or, tell them, what your baby looks like, you hear about a need, you meet that need, you meet them where they're at. And to me, that's exactly what you were saying. For us just to say, it's just nothing but words unless we're willing to do something. So that lady came back, and I think it was the third time, and she'd been able to pray with her and counsel her. The third time she came back with an ultrasound picture. She said, I'm keeping this baby. So, and we see that. I could tell you some other stories there. I mean, there's anything better than that. And that's what it's all about. So,
what a blessing. for someone who wants more information or wants to help family ministries, can you give us some information as far as what we can do as individuals, as churches, and then maybe some information as far as the website and those kind of things?
Yeah, you can go online and instead of giving you the whole thing, I mean, it's FWBFM, but I mean, if you go on Free Will Baptist Family Ministries, there's a website that would take you to every aspect of our ministry. They each have separate ministry, or you can go on the Facebook page, Free Will Baptist Family Ministries. We have a Facebook page, and that you can see through our Facebook page. All of our entities have different Facebook pages. We often, from time to time, will share a lot of the things that's going on with all of the different places. Of course, our address here is 90 Stanley Lane in Greenville. So on the web or at Facebook, you can pick up a lot of that information.
I know a lot of churches like to get involved in projects, baby bottle fill-ups, and do you guys have any? I know COVID's kind of changed some of the things that we do and the way we do things, but do you guys have any projects that churches can get involved or get behind right now?
Well, we just finished Baby Bottle Palooza. It finished on Labor Day. I thought that was pretty good. But we have a virtual banquet, and if you'll follow our Facebook page here coming up in about a month, we will have, because we normally have a big banquet here where people come to the hotel there in Greenville. Because of COVID, we are going virtual. Our keynote speaker will be Dr. Eddie Moody, and he will be talking about healing the hurts of abortion, and he'll be sharing in there. Also, you'll be seeing a video that we're taking nationwide to Free Will Baptist from Matt Pinson, the president of Welch College. When I finished my report to the State Association last November, Matt Pinson got up, Dr. Pinson got up and gave a glowing endorsement to all of the denomination about the Hope Center, saying, hey, we say we're pro-life. This is us. This is our people. This is our ministry, and we need to get behind it. So I like that so much. He did a video for our virtual banquet. We're going to share it. It's fantastic, encouraging the whole denomination to get involved and get behind what we're doing. And I will tell you, this will be the first time that I have. So you've got an exclusive, all right? Daryl Grimes, Flagship exclusive on the Flagship Zoom class. I'm just getting ready, sitting here at my desk, getting ready to write an article for our next newsletter. But again, I've told you it's a natural progression for me to come here. But a dream of mine in the 2 years that we've been here, we had a lot of things we had to get fixed, and there was a lot of challenges that we had. But by the end of the year, Lord willing, in December, we are opening back up here on our campus in Greenville a drug and alcohol program for young men. So we'll be working with the courts, we'll be working with the state, and taking and doing that here in-house on campus. So that was something that has been a dream since I got here. Something we had in the past, but it went by the wayside through the years for whatever reason. So, everything is going into place, and I could not be any happier. And I will be very personally involved with the folks that come through that. But that's coming by the end of this year.
That's very exciting. As you know, I have my oldest brother was murdered when I was a teenager, or almost a teenager. I was 12, in a bar, and he had very serious alcohol issues. He passed away, and I've always had a burden for that kind of ministry, because I know it's affected my family, personally and very deeply, and I'm excited to hear that. So anything we can do to help with that and what you guys are doing, we want you to know that we're praying for you, and we appreciate you letting God use you in this way.
Well, I appreciate it. And we, like I said, there is just in talking about things like this, just having the conversation, there is strength in sharing. one of the greatest compliments I think I've ever been given. I was just in Suffolk, Virginia, in revival with one of your cohorts, partners there in church planting, the Cross Point Church there, David Sexton. And we did break the chains on Tuesday night of that meeting. And on Wednesday night, a lady, she had lost her son. It was not through drugs. He was actually a preacher. But she came out Wednesday night and waited until everybody was gone. And she said, you know, when you lose a child, you feel like you are all alone. And she said, I feel like I'm on a boat and I am on a lake and I am rowing by myself. Nobody understands. And she said, this morning, when I got up, this was after the break the chains, and I told our story. Said, this morning when I got up and I was feeling bad and feeling alone, I thought of you. And she said, it made me realize there's somebody else in this boat with me, and it made me feel better. That to me, there is no, that's really at the heart of everything that we do, is just there is strength in sharing. I tell people, I don't have all the answers. I'm not a grief counselor. I'm not a drug counselor. I'm not a substance abuse. I'm not an expert. I'm just a preacher from a small town in Ohio that's been through some stuff. But there it is powerful. And it doesn't matter. There are times that I will go and share our story to real nice churches with orchestras, churches where everybody's dressed up. And the devil will whisper, why are you, this is just, all you're doing is embarrassing yourself, and none of these people need this. And without fail, every single time, all those people dressed up, maybe look like they have it all together, they're coming, tears coming down their face. It's unbelievable. If you preach to broken hearts, you'll never lack for an audience. And the whole message of that is that the psalmist said that God is closest to those. He is nigh, he is near to those who are of a broken heart. So if we're broken for any reason, we are God's favorite. And that's a powerful message to a broken world. I was at Chandler, Indiana, and a fellow pulled me out of the service as I was getting my microphone off. He said, I'm a heroin addict. I have lost everything twice, and I am struggling right now. But you have just given me something I've never had, and that is hope. To hear a preacher in that pulpit say that I, with all of my mess ups and all of my trouble, that I am God's favorite, he said, you give me hope. And is that not what we are as a church are in the business of trying to give people hope? So that's what we're doing here, and I know that's what you're doing there, and appreciate all that you're doing in the area that you're doing it in. It's powerful stuff, and there's certainly a lot of needy people.
Yes, and we can't wait to have you back up here when we get in our new building, and we're excited about that. So please be praying for us as well. We're trying to work hard to get it done before winter, so keep praying for us too, and we can't wait for you to come back up here and see what the Lord's done for us. So,
well, winter in Erie, Pennsylvania is a little bit different than Erie in East Tennessee. So, yes. And it's not taking me long to become a wimp. I am a Southern wimp, and it's hard going back to those rough winters. So I feel for you guys.
We'll bring you up in the summer. How about that?
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Love you, brother. Appreciate you and your ministry.
Love and appreciate you and your family and all the Flagship family. I love to all of them, and we're praying for you and excited to see what God's going to do here in the future for that building.
Yep, and give Beth a hug for us.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. God bless you. Bye.